Hey, welcome everybody. Now, before you adjust your set, we know it's a little dark in here. That's actually the point of today's video. If you've been following our channel, you know that DIY can take us down a number of different paths. Today's project is actually a lighting upgrade, long-awaited lighting upgrade for our kitchen.
Yeah, so 5 years ago we built this house, and we knew when we had it built that we would want eventually some pendant lighting for above the island. So we had them pre-wire for that. So we're going to be doing that today, which is fantastic. And then bonus, we're going to be doing the under cabinet lighting as well. So we had them pre-wire for that too.
Yeah, and with the pendant lights, we actually, 5 years went by, there's a bunch of other stuff to do, and it's freaky that much time went by. But that bought us some time to find something we both like.
Yeah.
So let's do it. So I figured we'd start with a little unboxing. You would think we'd have unboxed these by now. These have actually, pathetically enough, been here for probably 3 months. Yeah. We've been itching to do this project, but life happens.
Yeah.
Right. So let's start with a little guy. This is the under cabinet lighting made by a company called Light Ever. Very clever name. So this is a six bar lighting kit. So 6 independent little bars of lights, and then they get kind of connected together by little tethers. So the reason that we picked this one is it seemed like it fit our application best. We wanted to be able to scatter them out across all of the cupboards, and this seemed to be pretty flexible. So let's see what we've got.
Yeah, and I think I like them too because they connect one to the other, and because we don't have any kind of trim on the bottom to be able to hide it, it needed to be pretty flush to the cabinet so it doesn't show.
Yeah, so as far as unboxing goes, these are going to be maybe the least interesting to look at because they are out of sight. You see the effect of the light, but you don't really get to admire the light fixture itself.
A pretty minimalistic design, intentionally.
So,
I hope.
But yeah, it's kind of like Christmas because it's been so long since we looked at them and studied them and compared. I forgot what they are like. So
they kind of look like my grow lights.
Yeah, a little bit. So just LED strips, and they're built into a little aluminum chassis kind of a thing, and you just daisy chain them together. So these are super simple. All right, so the pendant lights, we're pretty stoked about these.
Yes.
Obviously, just from a functional standpoint too. But man, I think part of the reason for our delay in doing this is looking at lighting fixtures are stupid expensive.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
You can spend a couple $100s on like one fixture, really easy. And every time we'd maybe happen to be someplace that had a decent selection of lighting, we'd look and go, nah, not today.
Not today. Something else took a priority over it.
Yeah, so we found something that we both like. A lot of our cupboard door hardware and hinges and doorknobs and whatever is all oil rubbed bronze. And we have kind of a dark stain color to our kitchen cupboards. So we wanted to kind of continue on that sort of a look for the pendants as well.
Yeah.
And
even wanting something that wasn't too farmhouse, rustic, because you'd like things a little bit more modern. So I feel like this is a good mix between, I hope, we haven't taken it out yet, between farmhouse and...
Yeah, when we found something online that was seemed like it was a reasonable, at a reasonable price point. Personally, I kind of like the little bit more maybe modern-ish looking stuff. So there's almost kind of a steampunk element to this as well.
Right.
That I felt was a little bit more me. So we got in the mode, we got committed to finding something, and then we're like, I think I like this. She's like, oh, I like that too. And I went,
Like, quick,
fantastic, quick. Hit the buy button, hit the order button.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah. So, duh, and then,
Yes.
oh, that was the secret. Okay. Yeah, and then so the bell, look at the globe. What's the right term? This is the globe, I think.
Is it the globe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like just like that. So,
Here, can you hold it?
yes.
Yeah, so that's what we ended up with. So we'll put, this is certainly our style, as we've decided. If this is your style, we'll put a link to them in the description if you wanted to read up more on them and whatever. But I'm excited about getting these babies hung.
Yeah. We did a Google search to find out what the recommendation is for the height or the distance between your work surface and the bottom of the pendant or the globe. And we read on some Architectural Digest article that it's 36 inches. But we decided to go 40 inches just because the vault of the ceiling is pretty significant. And so 40 inches felt like it was the right height. Plus, every time I come into the kitchen, I don't want to feel like I'm wearing a hat.
Yes.
Yes.
So part of the reason for this contraption, just to help us kind of visualize from the same point of view that you're at, what was that going to look like in all this big wide open space? But also the weirdness of the vault of the ceiling makes it so that every single one of those little pre-wired mounting points up there is actually at a different elevation. So having this just be able to scoot down the counter as we mount each one of the lights to get the length of the cable spooled out correctly so that all of the lights are actually at the same level. I think that'll be helpful for that.
Yeah, because I think I would be kind of twitchy.
A little more, huh? Another inch. I'm gonna overdo it, and then we'll drop down. So I'm gonna say I don't need this much cable up in the ceiling, so I'm gonna trim this short. Now that we know what we need here, so. There's paint and texture, so I need to scrape some of that off so I can tell what's black and what's white. There's really, as far as the wiring goes, there's just three wires up here. There's a black and a white and a ground. And the wires coming off the end of the fixture are the same, black and white and ground. So you just match the colors and it's, that's all there is to it. Okay, all right. So this is the black, and this is the white, and this is the ground. And there we go. All right, friends, let's talk light bulbs. So when we were unboxing the pendant lights, there was a little piece of me that was kind of wondering, well, how cheap that they didn't even include light bulbs. I mean, those are cheap, right? Well, I think there's a number of good reasons for that. One of which is they're not going to know what the heck you want. There's like, because long gone are the days where like this, you go to the hardware store and this is it. There's just kind of one choice. I mean, yeah, you could get these in different wattages, the good old venerable incandescent light bulb, and then we have the modern day LED equivalent of it. So we had several of these around. We went ahead and did a quick test and put these in because this is what was laying around. But the one thing that we noticed with these is it pokes down below the rim of the bell or the globe of the light fixture, and because it radiates light all around, it was kind of blinding to look at. The level of the light is above the eye line, so you are kind of looking up into the light fixture. So the first thing was, okay, if there was no other inspiration to go to the hardware store, was to go and see if there was like a shorter form factor, something that recesses up into the light fixture a little bit further, and sure enough, there is a shorter form factor. So, of course, once you get to that aisle where there's like a bazillion different choices, we started thinking, well, let's bring a couple of things home and kind of test them and then see what we like and then return what we don't like. So the first thing that we had our eyes, our minds to grab was, yeah, just a shorter version of this. But then there was like, okay, well, this is still going to have that same issue of kind of radiating light all the way around. So maybe this more of a floodlight type thing that might just direct light more straight down. Might be easier on your eyes when the fixture itself catches your gaze. Great with reflected light and what you're actually working on, but again, you get kind of blinded when you look in the direction of the fixture. So then there's this somewhat more cosmetic ambiance looking, the where you can see the filaments, kind of the antique-y looking Edison bulb type thing, and a couple of different variations on that theme. So if you're taking bets on because we haven't tested any of these yet, we just got home from the store and just kind of unpacked them and spread these out because we wanted to give you this brain dump as it's occurring to us. So if you're taking bets about which one we're going to choose, leave a comment. Let us know what your best guess is, and we'll be giving you the reveal of what we choose here in just a moment. So hang on to your hats because we'll show you what we're thinking. So what's your best guess? What are you liking?
Well, I'm really hoping I like this one because
yeah.
I do like the Edison bulb kind of look. However, I use my kitchen a lot. I need it to be well lit. So for me, it's like I do need to think about function over form, which is kind of not always my style. I'm looking for the cute. So I'm hoping that this generates the light I'm looking for a task light. So anyway, I'm hoping that this works out. So, but I'm trying to go into it without being biased, but I really hope this one wins.
I think they're cool looking too.
Yeah.
But that whole form over function discussion is a worthwhile thing. So it'll be interesting to see how this actually turns out. My guess is that these hold the most promise, again, for that functional reason of, they're not going to cast as much light like right immediately around the bulbous part of the bulb, and it will direct light down more. So just for that factor, this is where my money is. But
vote now.
Vote now, right? It remains to be seen. So I think we've got 4 fixtures and 4 things to choose from. Let's just put 1 in each fixture. It's going to be a little bit weird because if the color temperatures are off a little bit, they'll kind of like bleed into each other. But let's just try that and see what we see. And pare it down from there.
That sounds good.
Cool. Let's try it.
All right, are you ready for the big reveal? All right, David, hit the switch. Okay. All I see is polka dots right now. Maybe you do too. But this is interesting how they are so different. Same but different, right? So I'm just going to share with you my thoughts on these. And I'm going to start with the one that I was hoping would be my favorite, and that is the larger Edison. I hate to admit it. It's cute. It really is cute. But when I look at, you probably can't see it from there, but when I look at the amount of task lighting, it's pretty dim. So this is probably not the right one. I do a lot of cooking, and this is my main prep area because the sink is right here, and I need a lot of good task lighting, and that's probably not the right one. I'm sorry. I'll put you down. Try not to break you. But it is cute. Stay. Okay. And then its little sister is this smaller A15 Edison bulb, and it is cute. It is cute. Again, it has a pretty good amount of light here. It's a little bit shorter, so you're not getting quite as blinded. So this is a maybe. This is a maybe because it still has the cute factor. So I'm not saying no to that one. This one is probably, I'm looking at these two. This one is probably better. I feel like I'm taking an eye exam. What's better, 1 or 2, 3 or 4? So this one has a really good task light, I don't know, area. It's really well lit. It's lower, so we're not getting blinded, but it also uplights, the right word, term, the pendant, where this one with the floodlight, this one puts out, if you're looking for a really focused task lighting, like the floodlight is your way to go, because it really does. This one is the brightest, by far the most focused, but I can't see the cute pendant because it's got that filter or whatever around it, so you can only see it shoots down and not up into the actual pendant. So this one allows me to see the fixture, but this one does not. So I'm going to say no to this one. Sorry, friend. But if you like that focused, if you don't have, like, that would be a good option. Not my option. So it's between these two here. And honestly, as much as I want to love the Edison bulb, esque look, I guess, I really think that this one is simple, but boy, it puts out the right amount of light. It has kind of this warm glow, because this is the, I can't pretend that I can read this because all I see are the lights in my eyes. But I think this is the one that we are going to go with. So if you voted for the A15 60 watt EcoSmart, you are the winner today.
We're just going to move right on to the under cabinet lighting project. So I wanted to give you a little bit closer look at all the pieces and parts. I realized the camera was a little bit far away as we were doing the initial unboxing. So they give you a pretty comprehensive package here. The main event, of course, being the light strips themselves. Something that struck me as I was just laying everything out here on the counter to show you. There's a male end and a female end on these guys. So as we mount them, we just want to make sure that they're all facing the same way, because the idea is that you daisy chain these together. And of course, if you had like genders facing each other, you wouldn't be able to plug them together like that. So we want to be mindful of that as we're installing. And so they give you 2 different means to install them. There's these peel and stick strips, and then they also give you these little brackets, and includes some screws that you can mount the little brackets on the underside of the cupboard. So I'm not sure which of those methods I will use yet, but it's nice to have options. So if the combined length of these isn't far enough apart, they give you these extensions to lengthen this. So this, like when we've got cupboards on either side of the stove, to be able to bridge that gap, that's where these will come in handy. They also give you a couple of different types of peel and stick cable management, and then this is the power supply itself, and they give you a cord with an actual outlet plug on it, and then a cord that's actually just got bare wires on it. So this is like for a hardwired situation. And as it turns out, we have a switched outlet scenario, so I don't think we'll be making use of this. But it's, again, nice to have options. Let's get after it. Okay, let's figure out where to place these guys. We've got 7 cupboard doors, and we've got 6 lighting elements. So as far as where you like need light the most, or maybe there's a spot where we could fudge and sacrifice the distribution of the lighting in one spot or another, maybe you can help me figure that out. And then I figure once we kind of establish where each one's going to go, we'll just lay it on the counter.
That
and
sounds
then
good.
We'll make another lap and actually mount them.
Thinking if we did, thinking out loud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So kind of do one here and here. So not worrying so much about this dead space here.
Right.
Because I know you tend to do your prep over here.
Okay.
Right.
So I'll give you 2. Okay, and then just
Kind of right
2
here.
to cover that whole strip,
Yeah.
right? And then these last 2
Yeah.
for here.
Perfect.
All right, so we have a plan. We have a plan. All right.
Thank you.
So I think the placement was the easy problem to solve. The slightly harder one is going to be figuring out how to fish the cabling for the power supply. Now, we mentioned we had the electricians, when they built the house, pre-wire with under cabinet lighting in mind. And what that amounts to is just a switched outlet. So the switch is actually this guy right here, but then the outlet is directly above it, above the cupboards. Now, we've actually used that for a couple of years with like Christmas decorations up there. But I'm pretty sure that there's like going to be like a little bit of a space between one of these cabinets where I can fish this wire back down. So this ugly brick will be up on top, out of the way, out of sight, and just plugged into that outlet up there. So this is going to take some fiddling. The actual mounting of the elements, that'll go pretty quickly. So I'm going to start here and save the easy part for last. So we did come across one little complication with as comprehensive as a kit as they give you, with all the pieces and parts and extensions and whatever else. It's pretty obvious that the way that they've got this designed is that the power supply is meant to be at one extreme end of the daisy chain, and the lights all kind of go in one direction. Well, where we were able to drop in power between the space between the cupboards, we're kind of in the middle of the daisy chain. So we've got one string of lights going this way and another string of lights that heads this way. So, of course, if I plug in this one, it'll feed those lights that runs in that direction, but then where do I plug in these? So what we determined is that of those extensions that they give you 4 of them. And so for the actual installation, we discovered that we're only going to need to use 2 of them. So of the 2 that are left over, I'm actually going to be able to cannibalize those and build a little splitter. And I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera and then show you what I came up with. Hey friends, so I lied about making the little splitter off camera. I started working on it and then I'm like, no, I really want to geek out with you about these little guys. I do a fair amount of projects where I'm joining wire together, and I just can't believe I hadn't discovered these earlier. These are really nifty little things. So there's a little metal collar in the middle and a drop of solder up inside, but then the full length of the rest of this is actually heat shrink tubing. So you slip wires into either end of this little hollow tube, and then you hit it with a heat gun, and then that shrinks the tubing and then also melts that little drop of solder, and that's what gives you that electrical connection between the 2 wires that you're butting together. So the only prep that I've done off camera so far is really just to strip the insulation off the ends of the wires. And so And that's the finished product. That's the splitter that we just made. Let's go ahead and plug it in and make sure it works, and we'll go from there and get these lights mounted up. So I've got the one female end, so that'll go to the power supply. And then we've got one male end that we can plug. Oh, all right, so that side of the Y works, and then, yep, that side of the Y works as well. So we are good to go. So moving on to the mounting methodology, I mentioned earlier they give you a couple of different options. Let's just try the sticky back stuff and see how that goes. It looks like they give you enough of these to put 3 of them on each one of the LED strips. So then there's more than one reason today to have my heat gun out. When you're using adhesive back stuff like this, if you activate the sticky part with a little bit of heat, they stick just that much better. All right, so the under cabinet lighting install is done.
All right, you ready for me to flip the switch?
Do it.
All right.
Do it. Okay.
Yay.
So we looked at this for just a moment off camera. And so, by the way, what you're seeing on camera is probably very different than the experience that we have here in the kitchen. The camera's probably seeing these bright spots and like closing its iris, so to speak. So everything else feels kind of dark and weird. But what we see is like just amazing task lighting that it's like you never know when you add more lighting, it's like you never know how dark it is until you like experience the opposite. So this is gonna be amazing to work at. Now, one boo-boo on my part, I kind of forgot that what I had ordered is the daylight bright, really 5,000 Kelvin, bright stuff. Whereas like the can lights and then like these pendant lights is the cooler, like 2,700 Kelvin stuff. So
softer.
Usually I shoot for, I'm kind of frustrated that I missed the mark on this. Usually I'm really conscious of that and like having the same color temperature of the various lighting in a given room. But it's really hard to want to change these out just because we've already done it, but man, it's so bright.
It's really bright.
So nice. It's so nice to work under. So
yeah, I think if we were using it for like an accent light or something to really highlight the backsplash, we might want to have a warmer light. But when you're cutting something or working at the stove, you're not shadowed. It's like having that daylight brightness is actually
and when we were
pretty good.
Even when we were talking about the merits of the various bulbs, there was that kind of that function over form discussion, and it's like this is our home. We want it to look nice, but then we want it to be functional too. And this is a workspace. This is food prep. So I think it's going to be workable.
I think so too.
All right, so let's go ahead and give you the full effect. I'll go ahead and turn the pendant lights back on as well.
Drum roll, please.
Okay.
Yeah, this is really great. I mean, it's funny because now with both of these spaces lit, I realize how dark it was before.
Yeah, totally.
And so it really does brighten up the space, and for functioning in here, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Very happy with this. And I think they look great.
Yeah, I think we did a good job meeting in the middle for our tastes as far as the fixtures that actually show. These, of course, you don't even really see.
No.
But yeah, I love it. Anyway, so thanks everybody for joining us for our lighting upgrade project in our kitchen. We love that you just roll with whatever's going on around here, wherever the DIY road takes us. And not quite sure exactly what the next project is going to be. We've got a couple of ideas in the queue, but we'll see you really soon on the next one. Take care of each other, and we'll see you real soon.